BoyleSports World Grand Prix on Sky Sports.
No.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar, day 6 of the BoyleSports World Grand Prix, the final Fallout Bar of the week, as we'll be reviewing tomorrow night's final on Monday night's Live Lounge. Interesting group we've got tonight. Met Mr. Lee Boyce for the very first time last night. I also met Sarah for the first time last night as I was over in Leicester, and we're joined by Liam as well. Very nearly forgot your name there, Liam. It's been a while. It would have been very, very embarrassing to start the show. This is what happens when you're producing as well. Giles done a runner for the night. He's done with us for the week. So I'm having to click all the buttons and do the talking as well. How is everybody? Sarah, I'll start with you. This is meant to be a night off, so thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
How did you find tonight's action?
In one word, sensational. It was absolutely brilliant. I thought Johnny Clayton was outstanding to win 4-1, and like the strength and character, determination that Gerwin showed tonight under the circumstances to come back was just remarkable. So he really, really deserved that victory. And we have that all Welsh final now that we've been talking about from the very, very start. So yeah, look, a fantastic night. The crowd was brilliant. Again, another full house, 1,500 people. And there was also a full house as well. Gezi got another £500 for Parkinson. So it's up to $6,000 now. So let's hope we get another one tomorrow night, and we'll push it out to Parkinson's. A great cause, of course. But yeah, sensational action tonight. Hope you all enjoyed it as well. Yeah,
not bad. Interesting to sit watching it from here rather than in the venue, as myself and Lee were last night. Could probably hear the booing from where I am, and I'm about an hour away because it was quite a frosty atmosphere. Like you said, there was an extra full house in that second game. Clayton just 180 away from adding that up as well. What have you got for us in terms of tomorrow? Then we've got that Dream All Welsh final. What markets have we got ready for that one?
Yeah, so far active on the site, we have Gerwin Price, obviously 4-7. Johnny Clayton is 11-8. There's plenty of handicap betting in there as well, lads. Like Johnny Clayton, the handicap plus 1.5 is 4-5. Gerwin minus 1.5 is 20-21, and there's loads of handicaps in there, right up to 4.5. The correct score then, if you fancy Gerwin to win 5-3, it's 9-2. If you fancy Johnny Clayton, do 5-1, that's 12-1. It's probably not going to happen, but sure, look, it'd be worth sticking a tenner on if you thought he was just going to absolutely run away with it. But look, if you were to ask me to put a tenner on something for the correct score, I'd have to go. I think I'd go right down to the wire and I'd go Gerwin Price 5-4, 11-2. It's worth a bet, lads.
Interesting. The only other market I guess I'm going to sneak on is, have you got the 9 data market tomorrow? There's been a couple of attempts closed. It'll be interesting if Gerwin Price actually finds himself needing the bullseye, because he controversially said he wasn't going to go for it just a couple of weeks ago on the European tour. And after the way he's reacted with the crowd this week, he might not. But I think that's an interesting market for the final, the way the two are playing.
For there to be a 9 darter, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, 14-1 still. It's actually been pushed out from 10-1 there last night. So that could change in the next few hours. At the moment, it's still 14-1. We were all on the edge of our seats tonight. Like when he was, it was just a brilliant match. And 9 dart would be brilliant, but it has been pushed out to 14-1. I think it's only happened 3 times in this tournament, if I'm right. Yeah. So yeah, look, it'd be brilliant to get it. It'd be brilliant to see. I know Gerwin is a big loser for the company, but we are getting behind him. He's already won sponsored events for us before. He's a gentleman on and off the stage, and he really doesn't deserve that treatment out there. It's not on, but look, he showed, as I said, determination tonight to come from behind and win. So let's hope he brings that into the final. Johnny Clayton is more to be consistent in this tournament than Gerwin is, so I think it's just going to go right down to the wire. They're going to bounce off each other. They're really close mates on the tour as well. So look, I just can't wait. I know I say this every night. We can't wait for tomorrow night, but I really can't wait for tomorrow night.
It's almost like you've read our script, because that's exactly what we're going to go on to talk about. We're going to let you get off, Sarah. Enjoy the rest of your night off. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for all of your help this week. This is the very last Fallout Bar. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for keeping everybody up to date. And thank you for all your help.
No problem. Thanks for having me, lads. And hopefully we'll do this again soon.
I hope so. It's been an absolute pleasure, Sarah. Speak to you in a bit.
Take care, lads. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
There we go then, guys. That was Sarah from BoyleSports. And then there were three. And suddenly, it's not quite as attractive to look at this screen, is it? And that's just because Lee's over here. I should say it's calmed down a little bit since last night. I can't lie. That was a very interesting choice of shirt for the first time we've ever seen each other in person, mate.
Yeah, I was contemplating a bright shirt for this evening, but I've done a dynasty. However, if I've put it in the wash by Monday, I might treat all our live lounge followers to it on Monday night, as it was a bit special.
You say treat, I say, mate, we can't afford to lose anymore. So that's not bullshit. Liam, first I'm actually having a conversation with you. You've been sat there for a couple of minutes now, mate. How are things? How have you enjoyed the tournament this week?
Good. It's good to be back. I believe it's the first time I've been on the Fallout Bar since the match play, if I'm correct. So it's good to be back. I've been on the other side of the screen all week, looking at you boys and Sarah debating all things darts. But yeah, it's good to be back. Enjoy this evening, and I look forward to getting into a serious analysis.
Serious analysis, yeah. Let's do the games in order because we have the clip ready for Johnny Clayton. We might get Gerwin Price by the time we come around to talk to him. We might try and talk a little bit more in depth, and obviously shows normally last around 40 to 45 minutes, and we do only have the two games to talk about tonight and the one tomorrow night. Obviously that's a massive cut down from the 16 games we were trying to talk about on night number one. So we start then, boys, with the most prolific final reacher in the PDC this year. Johnny Clayton reaches his 8th final since January, with a 4-1 demolition over Danny Noppert. Some performance out from Johnny Clayton in a double in-start format.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow start for both players of this. First 3 sets, one of them throw. And it was just waiting for someone to sort of push on. And I think what we saw from Noppert, I think he'd run his race this week, and what a race he's run, to be honest. Before we touch on Clayton, I was saying to you last night, I've said it throughout the week, he's probably been, for me, the most impressive player from where he was to what he's got to in the semi-final. A lot's happened personally for him over the last couple of months. So fair play to Danny Noppert, but it looked like his race was run today. And Johnny Clayton, the stats are there for everyone to see before the semi-final. Like I said, he was a slow start, wasn't as prolific, but then he just pushed on. He found that extra gear, which, like you said, he's got to that many finals. That it's so good to see. It is really good to see. It's one of them that everyone seems to be saying, how is he not in the top 10?
Both of them, to be fair, on current form.
Yeah.
A win for Clayton would put him into world number 9, I believe. That's the stat being floating around. Well, that might have been Stephen Bunting, actually. I can't remember which one that was about now. I'll have to double check our friends at Darts rankings. Liam, another word on Danny Noppert. He's literally dropped 1 set in reaching this point, and that was against Ian White last night. He looked so good and so calm through the rest of the tournament. But the first set, I don't think he settled very quickly. He was throwing darts more in hope rather than expectation, and he lost a bit of that steeliness about him. Second set, he responded brilliantly. Third set didn't quite go his way, and he never really recovered from that.
No, and I mean, it's understandable that he was a little bit shaky at the start. Obviously, it's kind of unknown territory in a way for him. Doesn't reach too many major semi-finals. He coped well. I thought he'd kick on after the second set. He really did settle down in that. But again, looked shaky. Clayton did offer him chances in the match. There was a couple of doubles, but just a little bit of scrappy at times. And when he needed it to go his way, Clayton just found gears that Danny Noppert probably just doesn't have. And he really showed his quality this evening and upped it when it had to be done. And the quality shone through in the end, and he got the job done.
Yeah, and then before we do hear from Johnny Clayton, his starting double percentage, in fact, his double percentage all around has been one of the best performances you're ever going to see at a Grand Prix so far. He has been so good. It slipped a little bit tonight against Danny Noppert. I mean, the fact he finished with 40% on the doubles to get out in a leg, and we're saying that slipped, tells you just how well Johnny Clayton is playing on the outer ring. And the only question is that when it goes wrong, and I suppose we'll talk about this a little bit more when we preview the game, is when it goes wrong for Johnny, it tends to be on the outer ring, and it tends to be against Gerwyn-Price, which is a little bit ominous, but you can't knock how well he has played so far on the outer ring, which is probably the most crucial aspect when you're at the Grand Prix League.
Yeah, and I think that 40% is hard to look at. I've not seen the breakdown of set by set in regard to that percentage, but if you sort of break that into the first couple of sets, or the first half of the day and the second half of the day, the amount he missed early on, and then he pushed on in those pressure moments, he's hitting on. There wasn't very many times in those last 3 sets I can think of where we didn't start in 3. He's finishing. He's just so good. I think he'd 72 checkouts. I think he's took out 2 or 3 times. He's 2 dog checkouts.
Pluses to Johnny. Danny had 1, but I think the stat that Emma Payton used at the end was that Johnny started in a double format. He had 7 legs, where his opening visit was over a ton.
Yeah,
so he's hitting a double first start, backing it with a treble, and then at least a single to follow that up. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and a couple of those legs, I remember him hitting a 93 to get in as well, because he slipped to hit the 1. He did that twice in about 4 legs, so that could have been even more if he'd just thrown a straight dart.
And I'm not a fan of the 16 start and then down up for 20s. I always believe if you're down there, stay down there. But he's proven me wrong this week. If one player's doing it, it's Johnny Clayton, because he's switching up the board, especially when he's finding that first start at an absolute minimum. You know, he's finding 112 starts. You know, it's just it's so prolific from him, and he's going to need that. He's going to need that tomorrow. Like I said, we'll preview the final shortly, but he's going to need that tomorrow. But he's certainly shown that he can do it consistently, as we've seen this week.
Yeah, let's take a listen to Johnny Clayton in his post-match press conference. A quick reminder before we do that all of the interviews, well, both of them from this evening and everything else from earlier in the week, is available on our YouTube channel. Don't go there just yet. You're obviously sat watching us now. But as soon as we're done, if you fancy hearing from any of the players throughout the week on any of the drama, Danny Noppert earlier on in the week against Marco Van Gerwen is always a good place to start with that one. Just head over there and check it out. And while you're there, guys, don't forget to drop us a cheeky little like on the stream. This is Johnny Clayton in his post-match press conference.
Maybe, but, you know, the fans' favourite and the darts are totally different. So, you know, I've got to produce my best game if I play Gezi, but Gezi's got to get over that line against Steve tonight, so let's see.
Lots been made of your ranking over the last year because you keep winning the non-ranked events. Up to world number 11 now, potentially world number 7. If you win, is it finally nice to be making those steps and where you should belong in the rankings?
Yeah, it's only a number, you know. It's it would be nice though, top 10 obviously, but it's not over yet. I've got another day to go. Let's see.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of a faux ranking right now because he has won 3 TV titles, but none of them have carried any ranking prize money whatsoever. 200,000 for the Premier League, 70,000 for the Masters, a share of the World Cup prize last year as well. He's earned a lot of money that just isn't showing just how well Johnny Clayton is playing right now, Liam.
Yeah, look, and I don't think he'll mind too much because that money's sitting in the bank right now, and neither would I, to be honest. But look, and to be honest, I think at the moment he's...
I'm not saying no.
Yeah, if he wants to share it, he's more than welcome. But look, I think he does still get overlooked because of how low his ranking still is at the moment. And look, I didn't think he would be one of the names at the top, which obviously your MVGs, your rights, your prices get thrown around at the start of the tournament. But he's been, without doubt, one of the very best players this year. He's backed it up. He's seen, he won the Masters, he's won the Premier League, he's won Pro Tour tournaments, you know, and he just keeps on going. That there's been no such dip in form, and he's in another major final now. And look, his ranking will get there eventually. I know it is the unranked tournaments that he's won, but don't get me wrong, I don't think Johnny Clayton's going anywhere in a hurry. He'll be climbing up them rankings very, very quickly.
I think you're right. And the climbing he is, he's already climbed up 3 places from this event. He's up to world number 11. He's just $9,000 behind Nathan Aspinall into the top 10. A win tomorrow would put him into world number 7. He would overtake Jose de Sousa, and that would probably reflect his true performance. And even then, you look at the names above him: Gary Anderson, Dimitri van der Berg, James Wade. Are they playing better darts than Johnny Clayton right now? Probably not. It'd be difficult to find 6 players in the world that are. onto the main event, boys, because it's difficult to not get a little bit giddy when we see something like this happen on TV, because we get to talk about it, because it gets tongues wagging. Twitter has been on absolute fire tonight, as has Facebook, as has everything else. We do have an all-Welsh final, but it took some comeback from Gerwyn Price-Lee because it didn't start very well. And I don't want to be the guy to say it, but I think a little bit of it was his own making.
What, the injury? That's
well, yeah, that too. What he gets up to in his private life is completely up to him.
Yeah, it was. Well, there was that point, wasn't there? The start from Bunting, it wasn't an outstanding start from Bunting. It was just what he's produced all week. He didn't drop. I think, to be honest, probably other than the last set, I don't think Bunting dropped off at all. He maintained the same sort of standard I'd seen him get here. And it was, I think it was in the second or third set. Can't remember who said it, but it was, this game is all on Gerwyn Price. Bunting's not going to move, but Price potentially can, and he did. The double 20 will be the worry, because moving forward, as we spoke about, obviously Clayton 16 hitting, Price's double 20 today was. Saying shotting would probably be bad, but I'm saying shotting on the basis of Price's normal hitting of double 20. So not,
to get in, to get out, he finished pretty well. He was 53%. He had the highest finishing stats of anybody on the night. I just think that it looked so bad for the first leg the first set and a bit. Stephen Bunting was 200 points ahead because it was just taking Price so long to get into legs.
But once then, without the stats-wise overall, his doubling wasn't as bad as what I'm saying. The 20s were the problem. The amount of double 10s he under pressure was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of times he'd hit. And it got to a point where I think he was part hoping that if he didn't hit the 20 and double top, he dropped it by quite a bit. So he was moving on to 10s because his stats on them must have been ridiculous. But there was all parts of his game that didn't seem right early on. The lack of celebration, there was a couple of 180s that he hit in the first upper sets that followed by no celebration at all. And then I think it was set 2. Not quite sure the check out, but then we had the big roar. And then it died off of then. But as soon he was set 3, obviously, that was set 3 when he got that first one. He seemed to come into himself a bit more, and it was that break that certainly helped. The 4-minute break, 5-minute break that we that we had, that we're not used to.
Definitely not used to. It's not the first time we see that at the PDC. Phil Taylor just walking off at 10-10 against John Park many, many years ago.
Well, one thing I will say on that, fair play to Bunting, because I think there's a lot of players would have certainly caused a bit of an uproar there, and he just carried on, used the time to practice, and like it says, his standard didn't drop at that stage. It was more the Price increase than the Bunting decrease.
Yeah. Do you think that was a little bit to his detriment, Liam? Do you think if another player had responded a bit more aggressively, saying, no, he should be out here?
Yeah.
He has that extended break. He wins that set. He's back in the match. And it all just swung in Price's favour after that.
Look, I think maybe we can look a little bit too much into the break. I mean, Price averaged 77 in the first 2 sets. So it was always going to improve. I don't think it could have got any worse from his point of view. Bunting did seem to go a little bit flat. I'm not sure whether that was the break. I mean, it's an extra minute or 2 that he could be cracking on with extending his lead, and he was close to going further ahead in that third set. But look, at the end of the day, I expected Price to up it, and he did. And ultimately, his quality shone through. Bunting maybe looked nervous. He looked a little bit rattled when Price began to come back a little bit. And ultimately, Price didn't play well, but he got the job done in the end, really.
Yeah, Bunting's level didn't really change, as we've spoken about before. The key factor, I suppose, when you look at just the darts in the crucial moments, is that 3 sets went to a deciding leg, and Gerwyn Price wins 2 of those. If Bunting wins that, we're having obviously, if Bunting wins 1 or 2 of those, we're having a completely different conversation right now. But in those pressure moments, Gerwyn Price found a way to get over the line.
Yeah, and that set 3 was the one, because for me, doing the blood and nothing stuff at that point, Bunting on throw there looked so confident. He started both with his first start in those two leads of holding throw. He's a 180 in both of those leads. And comfortably held throw there. And going 3-0 up, whatever is happening in the arena in any game, in set play, going 3-0 up, obviously just being 3 leads away. For me, that was the 3-2 swing in that set that was the key one. Just because I think a 3-0 lead and puts Bunting front favourite. And that was the change in the crowd as well. It played a part, obviously, throughout the whole night in this game. But when Price got that one back, I think there was a bit of everyone there who doesn't want Price to win. There's a bit of a realisation that we know how good Price is. And as soon as he gets level, it just becomes a bit inevitable that under pressure he's so good. And that's what we saw. That is what we saw. And it was a key point of this in set 5. Both starting 120 on Bunting's throw. And Bunting down 140, Price down 180. And then Bunting, I think, something like 85, then dropped off with a 40.
He didn't even finish. I think it took him 6 to get there. He ended up on 169 or something. Or
yeah, it was a
59, I think, and it just killed him off. Basically.
I think the big one as well from Price was a 2-1 to Bunting. Bunting had left himself a finish. It was a 74 checkout, 54 first start. Misses the first one at tens and nails the last one to send it 2-2. And that really, really turned it on its head. And it was all one-way traffic really from then on. I know it was tight, but it never really looked like Price was going to lose it from then on. And that was a massive, massive 74 checkout from Price.
Do you think, Lee, you said his top sitting wasn't great, but his double 10 was? Flashback to the last time these two met in a set play event, Stephen Bunting with a massive lead. Gerwyn Price was phenomenal on double 10 because his double top just avoided him. It returned in the final in spectacular fashion. But in the semi-final, that double 10 got him to the world final, and it's happening again against exactly the same player.
Yeah, and we're not going to be surprised tomorrow if on top start tomorrow, we're not going to see him move from tops. If he starts with 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 11 that we're seeing in the finishing for the final, I can't remember how many it was. Was it 11?
Something ridiculous.
It wouldn't surprise me if we see that again tomorrow. It's going to be a different game. But I sort of want to flip it back to then to Bunting because the credit with Dave Noppert for the run that Noppet's had. I'm more expected to see Bunting on that run, probably looking at the two of them, but Stephen Bunting's put in a very good performance. Like I said, he's not dropped today other than probably set 6. But it's got to be difficult for him. As much as we talked about what Price brings in regards to the fans like that, Stephen Bunting hasn't had that support at a game for however long, and it's got to be completely different. I'm sure we spoke about Ian White, how well supported he's been this week. It sort of come from nowhere. Because initially, when I was in the arena and they're singing Ian White, I thought they were saying Peter Wright. It surprised me that much.
I saw it again last night. I was like, what on earth is going on? I've never seen a crowd react to Ian White this way. And they've done it 3 times this week.
Yeah, and it's a flip of that for Bunting. There's a different type of pressure today, especially being 2-0 up, because he's probably, without seeing it, he's probably then edged maybe favourite to then go in and win this game with the fans then on him. And then when he probably needs them, 3rd and 4th set, they've died off because everyone's realising that the Price comeback's on. And they've been a bit quiet because we're now hearing the roar very, very loud.
Do you think there's a little bit of a difference between Bunting and Ian White, though, in the fact that the crowd were just supporting Ian White, and obviously in this case they were quite vocally not supporting Gerwyn Price, I suppose is the difference. And actually, when you look at Price's recent Instagram escapades following the World Series and him telling players that they've only made the final because he's withdrawn, whether that be in jest or not, that at 2-0 up, Bunting's like, am I only winning this game because of the crowd? And does that get to him a little bit?
Yeah, look, there seemed to be, he did slow down. I don't know, was he thinking when he was offered chances by Price in matches, in the match, he just seemed to slow down. He thought about it too much and didn't capitalise on it. And it did kind of unravel very quickly. And I know when he's up in the hockey, it can take a life of his own. It does go really quickly in front of your eyes. But I think Bunting would be disappointed. I mean, semi-finalist of the World's to Price, semi-finalist here and 2-0 up. And look, I really rate Stephen Bunting. I think his pedigree, he's been a brilliant player for a long time since we've seen him. win the BDO World Championship. I think it was 7 years ago now. Is it nearly 8 years ago? And if anything, I think he's underachieved really for the talent that we've seen for so long. I mean, he's been around for a long time, playing England youth in the BDO. And look, I think he will be bitterly disappointed going away this evening after having a 2-0 lead against Gower and Price, and it could have swung in his favour. He'll just look. It's a great run. We don't want to take it away from him, but it's another one that's just come close, but not close enough for him.
I was going to bring that point up when Lee started talking about the run and comparing it to Danny Noppert. Noppert, former BDO World finalist, Bunting, a former BDO World champion. Bunting's impact when he first moved over to the PDC was felt a lot greater, straight into the Premier League, won a Pro Tour in his first weekend. Is there a danger now with Stephen Bunting that he is joining that nearly man club that Dave Chisnall and the likes have been associated with for so long? Because he went deep at the match play a couple of years ago. He made the semi-final of the World Championships. He's made a semi-final of this, running to go in Price on two of those occasions. Understandable, but he's putting himself in these positions, and a man that's won as much as Bunting has and has been as prolific, he needs to start capitalising on these, because the likes of Michael van Gerwen and Peter Wright aren't going to keep falling this early. They're going to find form again at some point. Somebody's going to come in and keep dominating the way that Clayton and Price perhaps are at the minute as well. When you are getting these opportunities while the field is open and you're the man that's getting to the semi-finals, you've got to step through that door sooner or later, because otherwise, look how long it's taken Michael Smith to reach another final.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's a point now. There's I think the interview he did with Phil, maybe after his first round win Bunting, about the equipment, that he's never felt more comfortable. And to then back that up with a semi-final run, he's all done well. They'll be disappointed with a loss because of 2-0. I think for me, the biggest disappointment today is that he's not pushed Price to that final set. If he's then lost in that and then Price has produced something then ridiculous, but the fact he's 2-0 up, there's opportunities there. He's lost the last lead in a couple of those, I think, at that point. That's going to be the biggest disappointment. Obviously, he'd want to get to the final, but to not push him when he's 2-0 up becomes a huge disappointment then. And there is now plenty of opportunity over the next couple of months, because, as we've spoken about, it's the busiest few months of the year. There's plenty of opportunity, but I'm not sure many will be as big as what this one was, because of obviously the seeds falling on Monday.
Yeah, we've scooted around it enough. I think we've been polite about it. We haven't quite given our thoughts on it, but we do have to address the crowd behaviour, the first couple of sets, comments made by Gerwin Price last night, calling them pathetic. There is absolutely no doubt that myself and Lee will discuss this on Monday with Phil throughout the live lounge, because it will be asked 100%. So with that in mind, Liam, I'm going to let you go first.
Look, it was notably bad this evening. Gerwin Price's comments about the crowd, in my opinion, weren't on. Okay, I don't think he can, as a man in his position, world number one, can vocally call out the crowd like that. Whatever they do, it's only going to make it worse by calling them out like that, like he did. And they were visibly getting under his skin in the first two sets there. You can't deny that. 77 average, we can say about an injury or whatever it was, but you could clearly see they had got him. It's never going to win. You're never going to win by doing that. They pay the money. They're going to be there. They're going to boo. They're going to do what they will do if you wind them up enough. It's like throwing a red rag to a bull. It will just continue coming after you, and that's what the crowd will do. Look, I know it's not right that they keep doing it, but I just believe that he has to be a little bit cagier with what he says and his actions sometimes to avoid it. And then if it continues, then it is totally unacceptable. And that's my opinion.
Opinion. Lee, I'll let you have a quick word. Look, I think Liam summed it up pretty well then. This has been a hotly debated topic on social media for a long, long time, and even more so tonight. A couple of conversations that I've had with people is that ability and likability are not related. There's no correlation between them. You can have all the ability in the world. If you don't come across the right way, you rub people up the wrong way and that sort of thing, there's absolutely no, oh, you have to respect them for this, because it goes both ways, doesn't it? And look, Gerwyn Price, off the hockey, is a fantastic person. The first couple times I met him, he's been superb. I struggle to like watching him play. I struggle to like getting behind him, because every time you think he's turned the page or he's cracking on, he's leaving the crowd antics behind, he says or does something that just makes him that much more difficult to like. Like I mentioned it earlier, the Fallon MVG comment the other day saying, oh, you can thank me later for pulling out, that's why that happened. Even if that's said in jest on your Instagram, as the world number one, you carry yourself just a little bit better, don't you?
See, I'm not opposed to what Gerwyn Price has put on social media personally. I'm not. However, the comment he made last night on stage, to then expect probably anything different tonight, it's not going to happen. And then to go into never final tomorrow night, which tonight there was a bit of chanting for him early on. The Welsh that were there was certainly heard early on. Not so much then throughout the game, obviously, because it was overshadowed. But then tomorrow, we've got a game against Clayton, where those Welsh fans are split. In addition, it's an 8:30, so people have probably been on that pop a little bit earlier.
On a Saturday night as well, by the way.
On a Saturday night, a little bit later.
Saturday night in the middle of a city. A Leicester at home tomorrow as well.
International break, so no.
Oh, even better, so yeah.
Yeah, so there's all that stuff, and I think I'm not opposed, like I said, I'm not opposed to what he does on social media, but I just think there's a time and a place in regards to what you say in an arena, in that week of a tournament. So if he was to win tomorrow night and then make a comment about it, there's then a bit of a time between that next event where you probably don't have the backlash that he's had tonight. But there's always a lot of people there supporting him. I personally think that he does like being the villain.
He embraced it for so long, didn't he?
And
he was drawing on it, and the booze weren't phasing him. Then it clearly has got to him, and he clearly... I just don't think he can help himself. And there is a very, very simple solution to Gerwyn Price's problems right now. Hire a PR agent or hire a publicist. No. And every time you get the urge, to say something, check.
No, not for me.
Because he's just that sort of character that just can't let it lie, or the minute he says something, it's almost like Tourette's, isn't it? Where you think you're being funny. You know, when you're just at a family party, you say that joke one joke too many because it comes to your head and you're like, oh, I've got to say that. Nah.
No, I'm all for it. I don't want him to.
In our position, it is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And it's difficult sitting here as somebody who, our industry, what we're doing right now, relies on people saying things like Gerwyn Price does. But it's when he goes looking for the sympathy afterwards, or you get the split of crowd, that I'm sat here going, well, actually, do you bring this on yourself?
He does bring
the solution to bringing it on himself. From a Gerwyn Price perspective, not from our perspective, from a Gerwyn Price perspective, for his own mental health ability and career legacy, he needs somebody in his corner telling him when and when not to have a pop. Yeah, because he can't do it. Michael Van Gerwen's done it for a long, long time, and there's always going to be comparisons between them two because of the way they celebrate as well. But you think back to the final that MVG lost at the World Match Play to Phil Taylor. The crowd won that match. The crowd won that. They booed Michael Van Gerwen from the start to finish. And do you know what happened at the end of the match? Van Gerwen said, well done, Phil, walked off, and he kept his comments private.
Yeah, but Gerwyn Price has had these comments and then backed it up and winning events. We've seen it at the Grand Slam. The one for me yesterday. The thing he said yesterday
is he goes and has a pop and go, look what I've done anyway.
Yeah.
Not revel in its success, walk away, and actually next time it comes around to it, he won that, and he didn't bite back at people that are giving him anything.
For me, the problem with yesterday's comments wasn't the fact that, as you know, with media, they can push certain aspects of it to try and get some sort of answer. We saw tonight that wasn't pushed at all. We saw last night on stage with Michael Bridge, the first question was about the game, and Gerwyn Price responded with a trout. So it was him wanting to get that off. That wasn't pushed by anyone. And that's sometimes the difference where I thought yesterday was a bit out of hand, because he's always going to be asked about the crowd. He was always going to be taught about his performance first, and then it was going to come on to that. He pushed that himself yesterday, which I didn't think was the right thing to do. But he's backed it up. He's backed it up with another win. He's going into tomorrow's final as favourite. If he then comes out of it with a win, he's going to be taught of Monday night anyway in the live lounge, whatever happens tomorrow night. But there's a very good chance.
The only place worth talking about anything is that, by the way.
There's a very good chance we're going to be talking about him because he's lifted a trophy, because he's that good. And that's the result. He can back it up. Sorry, Liam.
I just believe the timing of some of these comments is just, you see a comment coming out on Instagram, you're looking, thinking, why? Why did this come out at this time? We can see Peter Wright has the niggles pre-tournament saying, oh, I'm going to win this, or I'm in best form, or whatever it is. And after the match yesterday, there's no need for him to say anything. He could have bigged up the crowd. He could have said completely opposite to what he wanted to say, but just be a little bit clever about what he wants to say and where he's channeling that energy into going forward is the only recommendation I'd have there. But look, I don't see...
For a publicist or a PR agent. Just for 6 months. Just for 6 months to get the crowd and fans back on your side, because as people keep saying, as world number one, he deserves more respect, right? And I've already stated my belief that your ability has absolutely nothing to do with your likability. But if you've got both, you are 100% the full package. He was on Soccer AM 3 weeks after he won the World Championship. When have we ever seen any other darts world champion do that? Never. He comes from a completely different sport. He's the most successful person to ever go from one sport to another, pretty much. Michael Jordan tried it with NBA to MLB, and he sucked. To put it as frankly as possible. But like, he needs to do something to change his image now, because I just think if he carries on alone, it's just gone too far, and it's just going to be a never-ending cycle. And the thing is, he won't win. He won't win this battle. The crowd will win this battle because they are there at everything. And the fact they pay the money, the fact they prop up half the prize money, and the fact that the minute they pay their entry to something that is entertainment, they can say and do what they want unless they're caught abusing the player. As a collective, they can boo whoever they want, whenever they want, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but I think Liam's hit the nail on the head there with the line of there's a time and a place for certain comments. That's why I'm not opposed to his comments on social media when he's sat at home and there's a tournament taking place about Fallon and Michael getting to the final. For me, I see that as being in jest. He's not playing the next day. He's not going to have the fans on his back. But yesterday, with the last 3 nights in Leicester being a sellout, so last night, if he got it bad and then says how bad it was, what's going to happen the next night? It's going to happen again. There's just certain times and places to say those comments, and I just think with a semi-final and final to come, it's not going to get better tomorrow. And if people believe that, for me, they've not seen Price at Grand Slam to know that that'll happen. It will get worse. It will be booed tomorrow from the start. An half-8 final in Leicester with people on the pop, seeing what they've seen this week, David Price is definitely going to have that early on. And it's for him, and he knows that, it's for him to go out those first 2-3 sets, get a nice lead, and do what he's done tonight. Does set 5, set 6, that was quiet because he put him in that place with his finishing.
Well, he didn't make any comments about the crowd in his post-match interview to Sky Sports. They did conduct that backstage instead of on the stage, so they weren't in earshot of any of them. I haven't seen this. This could be blockbuster. This could be very mediocre. We do have Gerwin Price's clip for his post-match conference available for you. So we're about to play it now. Like I said, we don't know what's about to come. Phil has literally dropped into the back end of our stream, told us the clip's ready, and we're about to play it. So I'll have to come up with some sort of conversation afterwards, and then we'll talk about tomorrow's final.
Yeah, it's one more day. You know, I've been here for a week. It's been a long week, and I've got to the final. That's the main thing, and I came here to win it. I didn't come here to just reach the final. So hopefully I can just up my game, and when it really matters, I pull things out of the bag.
Ooh. No, I'm joking. By
the way. Avoiding it after last 2 nights is probably the smartest thing that we've just been saying. Like, let it simmer down a bit. Don't stoke the fire anymore. And you can go into tomorrow night's final on a level playing field, because that's what we want tomorrow. We don't want it to affect the result ultimately. The best dart player should win. The best darts player on the night should win a darts match every single time. That's what we want. That's what we're set for. So the final tomorrow night, 8:30 start on Sky Sports. Best of 9 sets, first to 5. As Lee said, the crowd will be suitably lubricated throughout. It is prediction time. Get those in the chat room, guys. I'm going to try and flash a few up on screen. Really sorry we haven't done so tonight, but with no one in the back end as well, trying to press 1,001 different things with interviews and keep an eye on what we're doing. So who do I throw under the bus first? Liam, welcome back to the show, mate. It's been a while. You've literally had since the match play to plan this answer, I guess, because that's the last time we saw you. Who final?
Try to avoid the eye contact there.
He did. He put his head down completely. Thankful I couldn't see his face anymore.
Look, I believe Clayton needs to start strong. I know we've seen it from Bunting tonight, and I believe if Clayton's in the same position that Bunting is, that he does win the match. I just feel the last couple of performances against Scarrow and Price haven't been good enough. He has dropped a level when he has faced Price, and I don't know, is that because of their friendship? He has a lot of respect for Price. We know they've won the World Cup together, whether it's Dash that comes into it or whatever it is. But look, he has been brilliant all week, Clayton, but Price is showing why he's the world number one. He's getting to final at this final. He's gotten to the final. He'll be hungry to defend the title, and I just believe Price has had 2 ropey games coming into this, that he's just been a little bit under par, and I just can't see again that he is going to underperform tomorrow night. The crowd could have a bearing on it, but I just believe that Price wins this one 5-3.
Lee?
Honestly, I have no idea.
The chat room is pretty split as well, by the looks of it.
I honestly think if Derwin Price turns up and plays to the standard that Derwin Price can, with a recent record against Johnny Clayton, I think he beats him comfortably 5-1, 5-2. I honestly think that Derwin Price can do that tomorrow night. It's all around the start. Those first couple of legs. Johnny Clayton needs to be at least level going into that second break. If Price is 2-0 up, I think he romps and goes away with it. I find it difficult because last week on the live lounge, I tipped Price to not take first round, so it feels a bit bad tipping him to now go on and win it in the final.
And both your finalists lost first round. Which does happen.
So I don't think Price plays like he did tonight. I think we see an improved Price. And I think Clayton, we've always spoke about Clayton giving Price that extra bit of respect while they're on stage. I'm not sure that goes away with Price being booed. I think there's that sort of respect, probably giving that little bit more. And that's why I'm going towards Price to win. And I do think it'll be comfortable. I think 5, if I had to go with a score, I'd probably go 5-2 Price. But it's all on an early couple of sets for me. And don't be surprised if 20 past 8 tomorrow on my Twitter it says 5-3 Clayton or something.
Cover every base and you'll get one right eventually. Go, oh, look what I said before the game started. Yeah, I'll do that. I know you'll get it. To be fair, when myself, Jar and Duffy used to do on the Oki and we did predictions, we do some on the show, I'd forget them. Someone would ask on Twitter and I'd give 4 different scores. That's how it goes, isn't it? Like once you've given a number, it's difficult to remember that.
Well, I think sorry, my prediction won't change at 20 past 8. It's more likely to change to about 10 to 9 after them first couple of sets. Just how they go, just how Price reacts to the fans and how Clayton does. It'll be the bigging for me.
Mm-hmm. I have the same concern as you. I think that with the level of respect that Johnny seems to pay Gezi on stage anyway, and with the way the crowd have reacted, it's difficult, especially as they're friends. Like if they don't like each other, we're having a completely different conversation. But because they're friends, I know you're sports, man. I know once you're up on stage, you've got to do a job and whatever else. But you're telling me that your mate stood there getting booed by the crowd and affected him. You're not going to have that slightest little bit of sympathy in the back of your mind for him, and it just take away that edge from you a little bit. And that's a worry for me from Clayton. Like if he's averaging high 90s, like he has done for a lot of the week, and getting off and starting brilliantly, it's so easy to just take your eye off the ball, switch off just a little bit, just try and coast a little bit, because you don't want to beat your friend up too much, and you want them to just settle back into the game and start coming back at you. And by the time they do get into the game, you've completely lost it because you switched off for far too long. And that's a concern for me tomorrow. On current form, Johnny Clayton should hammer going Price. Price has been okay this week. Johnny Clayton has been exceptional. His scoring has been ridiculous. His getting in is fantastic, and he absolutely loves that double 16 segment. But it's the same issue with Christoph Ratajski. If it goes wrong on that same segment, and it's very difficult to make that amend. I am going to go Johnny Clayton, and I'm going to go 5-3. If it goes deeper than that, going Price wins. He holds his nerve a lot better.
It's weird that the three of us are part questioning Johnny Clayton's doubling because he's got potentially the best doubling stats we've ever seen in the World Grand Prix. But we just know if you compare him to his doubling stats and then Sterling Price, they're just complete opposite to what they are this week. So that's why it's so difficult to install this game, and we're all a bit umming and ahhing, and they may change it numerous times tomorrow night because of those. Though it's all on that double. And for me, it ain't even the finishing one, it's the starting one. The 16s and the 20s, what we've seen tonight. But so crucial tomorrow.
Go on, Lynn.
Sorry, Jack. But look, if Clayton can start with 100+ scores that he has been doing and putting Price under severe pressure early on, I mean, that's going to be a telling factor at the end. I mean, that is extremely difficult if your opponent's trying to follow in, starting on a double to get in first time. And if he can keep putting in them big starts, I mean, that could be huge, have a huge impact on the outcome of the match in the end.
Yeah, and that's it. That's
first start. Price is low. Trouble.
Yeah, to that point, Liam, spot on for me, because I think if Clayton can find that double 16, as well as the fans being on Price's back when Price is down for the double, put that all together doesn't sit well for Price at all. But it is on Clayton to do that, and we've just not seen it. The crowd are going to play a part tomorrow. I can't see a final where they don't. I'm with you, though, but I would like to not see that. I'm not opposed to. I'm not one of these who say that fans shouldn't pay the ticket price and that they're allowed to have their opinion on it. When it comes to whistling and stuff, it's totally different. But they are allowed to have their opinion. It's just the level of it that I'm not sure I agree with.
Completely agree. And one last point to make, I guess, is that the concerns we have for Johnny Clayton are the same ones that we seem to have for Dave Chisnell. His stats in this event as a double hitter are ridiculous, but under the most intense pressure, it's just not something we're ever going to sit there and comfortably back him. And because we've seen it from Clayton before, where if it goes wrong, it is in that department. There's always going to be that concern until it doesn't go wrong and he lifts a big one that goes onto his ranking money. Gents, that's... Oh, go on, Lee, you got the point.
No, yeah, there's just one thing we've not mentioned, and I think it's because we struggle probably to believe it, is the Price injury after set 2. If that is actually a problem, that can also play a key part tomorrow. I'm not sure if it was an injury at all, and I think we all think the same on that. Or it might have been a slight twinge, but however, if it was, that can also play a key part tomorrow night. Not that I think anything's wrong, but if there is.
I feel like I'm doing a Bardi here, but no comment. No comment whatsoever on that one. And on that note, guys,
that's exactly why I done that.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate that. You knew as well. That is the end of the Fallout Bar this week. This is the last episode. Tomorrow night, the final is on, and then we'll be back on Monday for the live lounge. Myself, Lee, and Phil Bars. No 45-minute episodes or 50 as we've managed tonight. Somehow, when we've got the least amount to talk about, we've managed to drag this one out. But we will be back on Monday on the live lounge, 2 hours reviewing everything, looking ahead to what else is to come in the PDC non-stop between now and the second weekend of December. As we keep saying, so much more to get underway. We will no doubt address the European Championship comments by Vincent van der Voort as well. We've already had our say on them previously, but as that's been brought up this week, that'll be a topic of conversation. Danny Noppert and Michael van Gerwen will no doubt deep dive into that as well, and anything else we can look ahead to. A massive thank you to BoyleSports for all of their support this week. It has been absolutely fantastic. If you are having a bet on tomorrow night's final, please do so responsibly, but check out our website for the best and recommended bets And if you still haven't signed up to BoyleSports, which I struggle to believe, being that the tomorrow night is the final, we do have a new customer offer on, so make sure you jump back on that. Daz is asking about the live league. That should return on Monday, I believe. We've had a break this week because of the long televised event, but that will return. Then, fingers crossed, I did tell everybody earlier in the week that it was on Monday, but it wasn't, and nobody had told me that we were taking a break. So, yeah, that one should be back. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat room if you've been here all week, or even if you've just turned up for tonight. Thank you very much to everybody that's listening back as a podcast as well. We really do appreciate your support. Please don't forget to drop us a like before you disappear. Find us on all of our socials and head over to our website to catch our review and all the other news. And with that, thank you very much for joining me this evening, boys. And that is the end of the Fallout Bar.
BoyleSports World Grand Prix on Sky Sports.